Hello once again, this is teacher Jerry A. Java for campus journalism video, and this time we will be talking about editorial cartooning. Most especially we will be talking much about the editorial cartooning universal symbols that we use that we employ in our cartoon. Okay, here are some tips. What are editorial cartoons? What is editorial cartooning? Editorial cartoons are comics with a purpose. Your purpose there is to send a message, to give the situation, the problem, the struggle, and to give humor. Okay, magtutuligsa, you're going to criticize in a humorous way. Also called political cartoons, they make a comment or critique about issues in the news. Editorial cartoons are opinion-based. They have a point of view or perspective or opinion or standpoint or viewpoint, and this is not objective. It is subjective. Editorial cartoons, an effective editorial cartoon deals with a single idea only. Just like writing, it has to talk about one thing only. Do not get out of the topic. You should have a focus, a main idea. And then, of course, it is humorous. It exerts influence on the reader. It is realistic because it talks about issues, current issues. And, of course, because it is humorous, it could entertain the reader. Here's an example of the idea that a little cartoon should deal with a single idea only. In this case, in this example, it's only about politicians involved in wetting, and also maybe wetting people behind wetting are supporting the politicians. Here, like I said, it is humorous. So you are to employ or inject humor. Dapat nakakatawa po. And it exerts influence or power over the reader because your purpose is to influence, entertain, convince the reader to believe your opinion. Most importantly, it should be realistic. It is non-fiction. It entertains the reader. Here are some steps in editorial cartooning. 1. Know the main issue that you wish to draw a cartoon of. So, because you are sending a message you are sending your opinion through a drawing, through a cartoon or comics, you are sending a message, so your message should be clear, and you should have mastered that. Should have mastered your content. What is your material? To think about the methods you want to use to deliver the message. Methods there include your sketch, the symbols that you use, how many elements will you be having. It's more on the methods. It's the incorporation of, it's a marriage now, collaboration of the form and the function. Your message plus the drawing. 3. Illustrate through the aid of effective symbols, universal symbols, that fit the general opinion of the editorial staff on the issue. Use black ink pen or pencil on white paper. For contestants, the editorial cartoonists are only allowed to use pencil Mongol 2. But for collaborative publishing, I believe they can use pencil, then followed up through by a black sign pen to make it thicker and clearer when scanned. and then transferred to their paper or to their publisher. To employ single stroke or line only, just like this is the rule number 1 in arts, in drawing, in painting, in sketching, even in editorial cartooning. Employ single stroke only, not that your lines are or your strokes are going anywhere. Shading can be employed for emphasis. So for emphasis, to add value or depth or dimension in your cartoon, you have to employ, you have to include, you have to inject shading, proper shading. Focus on one topic only. Do not get out of the topic. Limit the use of words and labels. For labels, as much as possible, avoid using labels. And if you could not avoid, maybe just 1 or 2 labels only. You don't have to label everything there. Then, of course, use universal or common symbols. These are symbols not only for Filipinos, but these are also symbols which are true to all, like other cartoonists in other countries or in other parts of the Philippines also. So there are symbols, which we will be learning about those later. Details in the drawing are not necessary. The minute details, the specific details in the drawing, like those you can find in the background, are not necessary. Go for the big things. Like example is when you are drawing when your topic is about a classroom, a student and students in the classroom, you don't have to draw the blackboard, the table, the flower vase, eraser, the chairs, okay? 8, simplicity of the drawing is encouraged. The simpler the better, because your target audience are the layman, the masang Filipino. So make sure that the average people, the average Joe, the Juan de la Cruz, is able to understand what you are trying to say. Simple, but the message is of course clear and intact. 9, draw clearly facial expression and prominent identity, especially when drawing persons who are prominent persons like celebrity, politicians. You have to know their facial expression and their prominent identity, like if Duterte, PRD, in what aspect, in which part of his face is he known for? Like BBM also, his hair, Pinoy, before he wears eyeglasses. Duterte, maybe his nose, or he would be wearing checkered polo. Gloria Arroyo she will have to have that mole like that. In that case, you don't need to have, if you draw these persons, you don't need to put label. Otherwise, you yourself, the one drawing, cartoonist, is not convinced that somebody you're drawing is really that person that you intended to draw. 10, you may apply allusion as background scenes such as superhero, gladiator, events in cavalry, and other common settings. Present accurately the issue. Remember that the issue or the message has more bearing, weighs more than the drawing. Limits the things to be drawn from 3 to 5 only to illustrate the idea. So you use only 3 to 5 elements, not too much. Otherwise, that would be so crowded. So remember that you have to focus only on one issue, one thing only. Here are now the general symbols or common symbols or the universal symbols used in cartooning. Number 1, when you'd be using pencil, pen, or newspaper or the quill to mean that it is about journalism, campus journalism, freedom of the press, freedom of expression. 2, you are going to draw a dove to mean freedom, peace, purity, democracy. When you draw somebody with wearing a salakot, that means that is the ordinary Filipino. That's called Juan de la Cruz. The salakot, that's our hat for Filipinos. And you don't really have to label anymore Pinoy or Filipino when that's somebody that you draw already wears the salakot. Otherwise, that would be redundant. Chain, cadena, chain, that means slavery, maltreatment, suppression of freedom, meaning you are not free. 5, kamatayan, it means death or bad omen. Syringe, the injection, that means cure or death sentence or drug addiction. 7, crocodile. This means mga kurap na tao sa gobyerno or abusive people in the government or person of authority who are corrupt. 8, mullet, it means justice. Beggar, it means poverty. 10, blindfolded woman, it means the lady justice, seeking for justice. There is no justice, wanting, lacking justice. Big waves mean problem. A rising tide sinks all ships. So that means problem. Hindrance. Mask, it means pretentious, fake, false, pretending to be somebody. 13, eagle for US, that means USA. Bar of gold means wealth, treasure, fortune, progress, development, richness. High rising building, it means development, progress. The key, it means the answer or the solution. Huge rock or boulders, it means, just like the waves, it means hindrance or problem, predicament. The rising sun, it means hope, it means new day, new beginning. Skull with crossed bones, it means being toxic or a warning. Multi-tattooed man, it means that it's a gangster, a goon, a criminal, or maybe an ex-convict. I guess there's so much stereotype about this. So that's the end. Thank you so much.